Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reviews That Don't Matter with Jessica Hitt. My name is Jessica Hitt, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about a comedy that came out last summer, and that is Girls Trip, kind of in the vein of a sort of Bridesmaids or like The Rough Night that came out as well last year, in a sort of girl comedy. Now, what I mean by girl comedy, of course, is that it's just really stars a whole bunch of lead female actresses in it. This is a comedy that anyone can enjoy. I personally love this film. I was surprised at how much I liked it. I definitely thought that I would enjoy it for a comedy piece, mainly because it did get a lot of pretty good reviews from last year. But there is a surprising amount of heart in this movie, a heart that was not hinted at in the trailers, heart that just I was nowhere on my radar. And like, I genuinely cared about every single character, well, the four main characters in this. And I was so invested in each of their storylines, and I love the chemistry with the actresses. It was just so much fun, and honestly, it's probably one of my favorite comedies I've seen in a very long time. And when I rank this in comedy terms, I think this is definitely the best one I've seen since 22 Jump Street. Personally, I'm a huge fan of 21 and 22 Jump Street. I think they're the most hilarious films to come out this century so far. And I think that this is definitely up there. I would say, personally, I think this would get compared most to something like a Bridesmaids. I personally prefer Girls Trip over Bridesmaids, which is weird. I've given it like a couple weeks to kind of sit on Girls Trip and just feel it. And I personally think that I like Girls Trip more. I love Bridesmaids. I absolutely do. I can quote that movie for days. But I think that there was something, to be honest, it was just so heartfelt by the end of it. And it was just like, it really like, both the movies touched me in places where like, Bridesmaid, it kind of touches you in this thing where you really relate to Annie, Kristen Wiig's character, and feeling like her life is not going the way that she planned, like no one ever thinks, of course. In Girls Trip, it's definitely more of a heartfelt of a sort of friendship that could be falling to pieces, but like coming back together and being these friends that have been together for so long. And I can relate, obviously, to both movies. I just feel like Girls Trip just got me more. I cried at the end of this movie. I really did. And it's got a stellar cast. I mean, you've got Queen Latifah, Jada Pinkett Smith, Regina Hall, and Tiffany Haddish, who Tiffany Haddish is like the next big thing. She's like in everything coming out all of a sudden. She's teaming up with Paul Thomas Anderson. I mean, what? And I guess I'll explain the movie a little bit so that way people who don't really know what it's about can figure it out. Basically, these four people that I just listed off are these characters that I believe met in college, and they've been friends for years, since the early 90s, and they're called the Flossie Posse, and it's kind of just about a little bit how they grew apart through the years. They still consider each other best friends, and then coming together for this weekend, a girls' trip, of course, to New Orleans, and basically the hijinks and the bonding that they go through, and it's really fantastic. One thing I will say is the type of humor is definitely like, there's some really great, like, everybody can like humor, and then there's some dirty humor that really just depends on what you care for. Like, my mom would not like this movie because it's a little too dirty for her, I believe. But like, I personally, I like good potty humor. I like a good dick joke. I do, as long as it's good, not like Baywatch. Baywatch was bad. It was bad. I also feel like there is something where you can really connect to each of these characters, like with Jada Pinkett Smith's character, who I actually thought was supposed to be, like, I was going to this thinking like she was the lead, and that was actually Regina Hall's character, Ryan. But Jada Pinkett Smith's character is somebody who has been divorced, and she's a single mother. Her mom moved in with her to help her out with the kids, and she doesn't get out. She hasn't had sex in forever. And then you have Tiffany Haddish's character, who's sort of the loose cannon of the group, who she doesn't go through like a character arc that's absolutely like insane or anything. I consider her to be the funny one. She was the one that brought all the jokes, and she was the one that did was kind of responsible for most of the hijinks. And then you have Queen Latifah's character, who is this sort of celebrity gossip columnist who has her own blog, Sasha's Secrets type of thing, kind of Perez Hilton-y, and really it's gone down the tubes, and she's struggling for money type of thing. And then you have the one that's narrated the beginning and end of this movie, which is Ryan, played by Regina Hall, who's my personal favorite in the whole movie, who is a super successful, kind of Oprah-ish type of character. She's like the second coming of Oprah in this movie. She has like this perfect life. She is just a career woman and all of this stuff. And there really is, like, I can relate to every single one of these characters. This is also a movie that I could see getting a sequel. I really could see them actually doing something really good with a second one. I don't need one. I think Girls Trip is a perfect standalone movie, perfectly fine, does not need a sequel. But if they announce a sequel, I'm also not going to be like super pissed. I'm just going to be hopeful. And it does have a sort of, the idea behind Girls Trip definitely works for a second movie, like keep following them, kind of like National Lampoon, where they keep going on vacations. This is kind of something that they could do with Girls Trip and figure out something to do. I mean, there's definitely so much more you can like explore with these characters, for sure. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a lot of stuff that can happen with Sasha and Ryan's character, and we can really develop into Tiffany Haddish's character, and then also maybe we could develop all of these characters more. I really want to see more from Tiffany Haddish's character, because she's really the standout of this movie. She is everywhere now, and she's doing all these movies, and I can't wait to see what happens with her. There's a lot of people who feel like she really got jaded from snubbed from the Oscars this year. I don't know about that. I would say Girls Trip the movie was more snubbed than Tiffany Haddish, because I really do think that a good comedy is very hard to pull off. I think comedy is the hardest thing to do. I mean, most people can cry on camera, for sure, but not everybody can be funny on camera. It doesn't work that way always. And that's definitely something that the Academy needs to work out and realize, that, just because it's a comedy or a genre film, like a superhero film, doesn't mean it's a lesser film than some boring movie about a cobbler. And I'm really sad that it took me so long to see this movie. I don't know what it was. Like, I thought that I would enjoy it enough. I didn't think I would love it the way that I love it. It's in such high regards, to be honest. I mean, honestly, just the fact that has said that I feel like I like it more than I like Bridesmaids, the movie. And I love Bridesmaids. I love it. But to say that I like Girls Trip more than that, I mean, that's saying something. It definitely is, especially when I rank it up there with 21 and 22 Jump Street, which I just think are comedy gold. Would I recommend this to people? Yes, I would recommend this to anyone my age or anybody who likes sort of a sort of dirtier sense of humor. Probably wouldn't recommend this to my family, but, maybe. They might like it. I'll just warn them what's coming. Oh, also, I will say I do appreciate that they show a full-on penis and ball sack in this movie, just because you don't get to see that very often in a movie. Like, they show off a woman's boobs all the time. You show women naked all the time, and men, for some reason, like, we don't really get to see the D very much. And so I like that they use that in this movie to a very shocking, fun moment. Okay, guys, I hope you liked this review. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below, what did you think of Girls Trip if you've seen it, or any of those types of, any comedies that's really came out. Like, what do you think comedy-wise that maybe I should go watch that I haven't seen? Also, don't forget to subscribe. I make videos Monday through Friday for the most part. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.